Hey guys, welcome to my new video. I know it's been quite some time, but I was very busy. I want to talk about something quite different this time, namely a few weeks ago a new social movement popped up on the internet. Some people now call themselves super straight, which basically just means that they only want to date cisgender people. Yeah, it's about as ridiculous as it sounds. Yeah, they literally built their identity around the fact that they would not date a transgender person, and of course they pretend that they're horribly discriminated against and a very marginalized group, and they portray their movement as somehow revolutionary, and of course they want to be a part of the LGBTQ plus community because only being attracted to cisgender people makes them so marginalized or special, I guess. Yeah, and putting that out in this world is such a brave act. Now, you might have already heard from this movement because it's not really the latest news, but yeah, at the time it came up, I was just too busy to make videos, so I will just talk about it now. Now, I am a cisgender woman who would never date a trans person, okay? And I think that there are a lot of very valid reasons to not see trans people as dating material, like anything from wanting biological children to, I don't know, having preferences when it comes to some physical characteristics. And even if a transgender person is fully transitioned, there are still physical differences to cisgender person, and these differences can be relevant to you. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Most trans people or trans allies would agree on that, yeah? However, we have to make one thing clear. There's a difference between being attracted to somebody and wanting to date someone. Because let's say you see a trans woman and you find her very attractive and want to get to know her better, and once you find out that she's trans, you no longer have any interest in her. That's totally okay, yeah. However, it does not change the fact that you were initially attracted to her. Me, for example, I want a guy that is in my age, so I wouldn't date someone who is 30 or 20 or even 10 years older than me, yeah. However, that doesn't mean that I could never find a significantly older man attractive, because these are two different things. Anyway, let's just look at how the super straights themselves describe their movement. Here's a tweet from the super straight movement. What is super straight? This is a new sexuality. That means that you are only attracted to cisgender women or men. This was made due to an influx of people saying that you're not straight if you aren't attracted to trans women/men. We are part of the LGBTQ plus now. Hashtag super straight. So it's a new sexuality. Okay. Also, who said that you are not straight if you don't want to date a transgender person? No one said that you're not straight. Anyway, they feel like they're under attack because of their dating preferences. It all comes down to the idea that you're called transphobic if you don't want to date a transgender person, okay? And I mean, it does occasionally happen, of course. However, it is over exaggerated and played up to a ridiculous level, because like most trans people and trans allies would agree that there are plenty of valid reasons to not want to date a transgender person. Here we have another statement from our new sexuality. Trans are not entitled to our bodies. Just like incels are not entitled to sex with women who don't want them, trans are not entitled to biological men/women who don't want them. You cannot coerce anyone into sex that is not only creepy but borderline rapey. Just go where you are celebrated and leave straight people alone. There are plenty enough folks who love trans and will embrace you with open arms. First of all, with trans, she means transgender people, I guess. Anyhow, like obviously nobody is entitled to another person's body. But again, the vast majority of transgender people and allies don't think that they are. And like, of course, there are always like some dickheads who think that they are entitled to other people's bodies or to sex with other people, but it's not a trans issue. Like, I actually lost count over how many cisgender men felt like they were entitled to my body or sex or dates or whatever. I myself have been accused of bigotry because of not wanting to date somebody. Like some years ago when I was like very young and unexperienced, a black man stalked me on Facebook and repeatedly pushed and pressured me to meet him in real life, and very intrusively asked me why I would not want to, and like as if I owe him an explanation for that. Yeah, he actually asked me if the reason I did not want to meet him was because I was a racist. Really? Yeah, actually he accused me of being racist because I did not want to fuck him. Like, because obviously I would do it with any white guy who is hot for me or something. And yet I will not put myself out there and be like, you black people are not entitled to sex with us white people. And I definitely won't start a movement based on it, because it's just stupid. Obviously, people who feel like they are entitled to sex or to dates with somebody, they are creepy as hell, regardless of their race or gender or other identity. And again, a lot of cisgender men felt like they were entitled to sex or dates with me. And yeah, if these people belong to any minority group, they might use their status in order to guilt trip somebody. But that does not make it a problem of this particular group. So if such an individual happens to be trans, they might accuse you of transphobia, just as this creepy stalker who happened to be black accused me of racism. But dickheads exist everywhere, okay? However, it is not this big social issue where you are met with extreme hostility just for not wanting to date a trans person. This really is largely made up bullshit. However, the whole movement started with a TikTok video, and this video has since been deleted, so I'm not showing the video itself, but I will link an article that discusses the video in the description. Basically, the person said that he made a new sexuality, okay, and he just complains about being called transphobic because he only wants to date real women. And yeah, if you listen to that guy, you really could think that you are called transphobic like all the time if you don't want to date a trans person, and that's not really the case. Maybe it happened to him once that a trans person was attracted to him, and he did not, and then called him transphobic, but it's not something that like generally happens, because as I said, most trans people would agree that there are a lot of valid reasons to not want to date them. So like the only thing I can imagine why this issue might come up occasionally is because you feel the need to like bring it up all the time. Because like if you just constantly go to people saying, oh, and by the way, I would not date a trans person, and you have to bring it up all the time, like no matter how irrelevant it is in that context, then it might become an issue, and then people might call you transphobic. But normally it's not really an issue. Like normally people just don't care, okay? Most people really don't care. It's really not about who you want to date, but more about how you go about the group in question, okay? And if trans people are upset about the movement, then it's not because you don't want to date them, but because this whole movement exists solely to mock and demonize trans people, and literally just to make up an imaginary problem. Look, I'm not saying that it never happens that a trans person calls you transphobic because you don't want to date them, but most of the time it's more like the other way around, because it happens like quite often that trans people on the internet just talk about why it is difficult to find a date as a trans person, and immediately people are like, oh, you're not entitled to dates, and oh, nobody has to date you, and it's not transphobic, blah blah blah, when they never actually said otherwise. They just said like how dating can be hard for them without blaming anybody. So long story short, these super straights are just a bunch of attention seekers that want to play the victim. This whole movement is just ridiculous, just dumb, and honestly not even worth being angry about it. I mean, it's easy to say for me, obviously, because I'm not their target. So it's easy for me to just brush it off as a bunch of idiots. Anyhow, so that's the perspective of a cisgender woman who would never date a trans man. So according to them, I would be super straight, but honestly, I just find this whole thing ridiculous as hell. Anyhow, that's it for today. Please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments, and if you are trans and you had to deal with such people, also I'd like to hear about your experience. And yeah, until next time, bye.